give me a moment's peace and take out the trash.
We pay taxes for people to come and take the garbage.
Hey, listen, Greenie, no more sneaking rides to the junkyard. Yeah, man, take a taxi.
Hello.
If you want to go to the junkyard.
That was immediately wrong.
It automatically went to German.
That's more in Russia. Goat milks you. Wee wee. No,
Be my guest.
No, you gotta get like the grit in your voice.
Ho ho ho, my love. Welcome to France. Hello and welcome back to Hot Trash Unlimited. It's going Italian. I can't do this, Joe. Can you do a French accent?
Oui, baguette. Hello and welcome to Hot Trash Unlimited. I don't even know what that is.
It's
Pepe.
closer. Yeah. Occasionally I will hit a French accent.
All right, wimpiest voice you can do.
Hello and welcome to
There's your
Trash Unlimited. Oh, Unlimited. Hello and welcome to Hot Trash Unlimited. Where we go to our living room and we watch all the movie. Oh, I can do it now. Hello and welcome to Hot Trash Limited. The show where me, Caleb,
And me, Joe.
go to the couch and watch the movies from Joe's childhood that he does not know if anyone else knows
It's going
about.
back to Italian.
Yep,
You're doing
nope.
the hand signals and everything.
All Europeans are the same.
Yeah, welcome to another special episode of Hot Trash Unlimited where we don't see a new movie. We go back a couple of years and see an old one. More than a couple this time.
Yeah, this is the oldest movie we've ever talked about on the podcast. 1964's Gay Purr-ee.
60 years ago.
Yeah.
That's kind of wild.
Starring one Judy Garland.
Oh, yeah. And directed by one Chuck Jones.
It was written by him.
Oh.
It was directed by Abe Levito.
Lincoln.
Who was, Abe Lincoln. That's how old it is. He did some of the Mr. Magoo stuff around that time, and I think he also did some other Warner Brothers stuff. But it's carrying a lot of the DNA of like Warner Brothers animation, but in a very different package.
Without being like Warner Brothers. 'Cause Warner Brothers just distributed it. They weren't the makers.
Yeah, but you can see that Chuck Jones influence.
Oh yeah, no, it's definitely there. The proto Looney Tunes like aesthetics.
Yeah. So this is a movie you grew up watching all the time as a kid.
Over and over and over again. The VHS is still at my parents' house.
Yeah. I'm a little disappointed that we can't watch that, but we do not have a VHS
player, nor was I willing to buy one for this viewing experience.
No. And we've kind of gotten to that point where you can't just easily go to the thrift store and get one anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like 10 years ago, we could have done that, but...
Also the fact that like every time you play a VHS, you're destroying it slowly.
Oh, that's part of the beauty of it. But because this is your movie, the movie you know back to front, explain to our viewers kind of the basic rundown of what Gay Purr-ee is.
So Gay Purr-ee follows a handful of cats. We got Musette, the main character, voiced by Judy Garland. She's like a snobby, she's raised on a farm, but she's like, I can be so much more. I'm not a cat, I'm a feline. And so she follows her dreams of wanting to be a fancy feline and runs off to Paris, where she's soon unknowingly captured and groomed?
Yeah, groomed is a good word.
To be sold off like a mail order bride to one Mr. by the devilish Meow Reese.
The best character.
Pretty fun character. Her boyfriend, love interest, I don't know.
The unironic Gaston.
Yeah, Jean Tom is chasing after her, trying to get her back. He's like, she don't know what she's doing. And he's followed by his Le Fou, I guess if we're going to use the Gaston comparison, Robespierre. And they're just trying to get her and explore this crazy big city known as Paris.
Yeah. And there is music in it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a weird subplot that messes with the whole timeline of the movie where Jean Tom and Robespierre get sent off to Alaska for a little bit of time and then they come back.
When they strike the gold rush.
Yeah. Judy Garland is trained in a brothel.
Yeah.
Yeah, they call it a literal cat house, which is... That's
appropriate.
Yeah. I was surprised by how little time you actually spend with Musette in this. You spend a lot of time with Meow Reese, which I'm
fine with. He's so entertaining.
He's like such a flamboyant villain.
He's great where it's like, I'm evil for the sake of evil.
Yeah.
There are no redeeming qualities about me. I'm just evil.
Yeah, he is like a Vincent Price character.
Oh yeah.
And then of course you spend a good amount of time with John Tom.
I was about to say John Tom like exits for a solid 20 minutes and then it's like, oh yeah, he is in this movie.
Yeah, it's weird. He sporadically comes back. I think if we time this, Meow Reese would get the most time, which is so bizarre. Because
he shows up the latest into the movie and exits the first too.
Yeah, yeah. And then of course there is
Robespierre.
Yeah, there's Robespierre, played by Red Buttons, who is a charming enough little sidekick.
He's kind of annoying at first, and then you're like, I'm kind of having fun with him.
Yeah, I think John Tom is just so boring that Robespierre makes up for it. Give me anything.
Yeah. Strike something into this character, some kind of personality.
Yeah, yeah, because like Musette makes it through solely based on Judy Garland's voice performance, which I think is pretty good. And of course her singing voice, which is
I think it's really good.
Yes. But she doesn't have a ton of character beyond that. So John Tom really is just kind of this whole where all the other characters are fun. And Robespierre comes as like, okay, I'll pull all the weight, John Tom.
I'll run through the night for you, John Tom.
The animation in this
it's something.
It's something.
It's something. So I didn't remember. I remembered like the plot of this movie very well. I remembered locations. I did not remember how just insane they went with the backgrounds. The backgrounds are beautiful.
Oh yeah, best part of the movie.
I was going through the like scrubbing through the video and I was like, whoa, this is like style that I did not expect to see in this movie. Just everything looks like a Van Gogh watercolor.
Mm-hmm.
It's so striking.
Yeah, and
until it doesn't.
They have so much disregard for for the characters actually being able to interact with the background.
Oh yeah, they're just walking on top of it.
Yeah, it's so obvious, like separate layers. But the main character's action and stuff, it's on par with an animated short from the 60s. It's just kind of elevated by the fact that you do have these much more interesting and stylized backdrops.
Well, yeah, as compared to a very basic animated character on top of it, an animated cat, nonetheless.
Yes, they save their character animation for the brief moments of action, because there's a running trope where John Tom will see like a mouse and his eye will turn into like the crosshairs, like he's the predator or something. Yeah, and
it's great.
That stuff is like fun. It's like, okay, I can
blast off like dynamite.
Yeah, it's like I can tell this was written by Chuck Jones.
And then there's the moments where Jean Tom and Robespierre are just walking through Paris.
Yeah,
and it's just the same animation looped over and over again, multiple times too. They're just all sullen.
While I enjoyed the music in this well enough, the animation to go along with the music was oftentimes just character walking.
Yeah. I remembered the music, like our Meow Reese's villain song, The Money Cat. I remember that
the
one.
Best song.
It came back to me. The Money Cat can. Such a fun song. And I remembered Bubbles, the drunk song.
See, you built up the drunk song for me. It was disappointing. I was thinking we were going to get like a Pink Elephants level thing.
It's not quite that bad. I just love Red Button's voice just being like the entire time. Jean Tom's you can barely hear him just because Robespierre is so loud compared to him. Bubbles! It's got some pretty good, like, it's got the best visuals, I think, of any of the other songs.
I'd say the kissing song does.
The kissing song came into my mind. I'm still, like, animation-wise, I think maybe visually, the kissing song's pretty good. Or, like, I think the title's, like, A Horse Doesn't Talk or something like that.
Yeah, the premise is that Musette wants to go back home, and so Meow Reese distracts her by taking her clubbing, and then they're riding on the back of a carriage, and she's like, what's kissing? And he's like, oh, it is what all the French people do.
In boogies.
But you've got like some fun animation where you've got, it shows some birds kissing, it shows some horses kissing. It's just like...
And the horses playing patty cake
for
some reason.
Like fun different scenarios.
A song I forgot about that I really ended up liking and that has been like playing in my head the past couple days is I don't know the name of the song, but it's Musette's song when she's coming into Paris, the roses red, violets blue song. It's just really catchy, and she's like croning too. She's putting it all into it.
Yeah, this was of course released not too long before her death, Judy Garland's death. And so it just kind of emphasizes how disappointing it is that she never got to do more voice acting because she is very talented here.
Yeah, I think she's pretty at home in maybe not the character, but just in the booth.
Oh yeah. Imagine her in a Disney movie. Mm-hmm. It'd be great. She'd fit right in with like the Wolfgang era Disney movies.
Yeah. This movie has a pacing issue.
You don't say.
Where there's ups where you're like, okay, stuff's moving. And then there's Meow Reese talking for 10 minutes about different artists and how they would paint Musette. It's so like, bizarre. What in the world is this doing in the kids' movie? Like, I can name Van Gogh. I can't name any of the other people he named. Like he named one like a famous artist who uses stippling. But it's literally 10 minutes, very slow, drawn out still frames of just Musette in different scenarios.
I could probably name them if I had paid any attention, but once that scene started, I kind of just zoned out.
It goes on for so long. It's so weird. Or when Jean Tom and Robespierre get like sent to the boat and are on their way to Alaska, you think it's like, oh, new setting, this will be fun. No, so boring whenever it cuts to them.
Yeah, because they're just at first they're just on a boat and they're just like, man, I wish I was in Paris. And then they get to Alaska and it's like, we're in the snow. We were watching it with our friends Steven and Alex, and I think the only funny thing that anyone had to say about that segment was Steven was like, because they're with a human, but you just see like his hands and stuff, and he's holding a pitchfork, and Steven's like, it's what's the guy's name from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer?
Oh, it's like Yukon.
Yeah, Yukon Cornelius.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, it's Yukon Cornelius.
Also, something else I remember that you said, the dude's hands were drawn like very...
Oh, yes, very detailed.
Realistically and detailed.
And hands are hard to draw, too.
It's one of those things where it's like, oh, I would imagine 4 fingers in a movie like this, where it seems like the animation budget's at its limits most of the time.
Well, and that's the other interesting thing about this. It's just... like Disney was doing it, but there weren't many other studios doing feature-length animation. Mm-mm. Like the closest thing to it that was released in 1964 beside this was a 1-hour Mr. Magoo Christmas Carol, which I cannot imagine looks very good.
There's no way. I think some of the inside settings they go to are pretty fun. Like the bar with kick lines.
I mean, you really don't see the bar with kick lines. You see the kick lines, and then it just kind of fades to exterior shots.
But where most of the other ones are cats walking around. This one's cats sitting at the bar stool. They have to do a little bit more fun cat jokes too. We're gonna live it up, straight cream. Yeah,
this is. I will say, the message of this movie is very problematic.
Stay in your place.
Because they referred to themselves as peasants, and then of course, like the members of the Parisian enclave is like aristocrats, and so it's like, stay out in the countryside, you bumpkins. You
Otherwise,
peasants.
We're gonna sex traffic you.
Yeah, you'll be taken advantage of.
And sent to one Mr.
Fit in Pittsburgh. The movie ends with I'd say it's climactic chase, but honestly, it felt kind of like the same energy level as the rest of the movie.
I think the animation gets fun at that point. Like, we haven't talked about Meow Reese's gang of chimney cats. I don't know what you call them.
They
just look like soot.
Yeah, they pop out of the chimney, and they're always like bathed in shadow and stuff.
They're always like, they're way more animated than everybody else. They got long, skinny necks, and they always line up on top of one another, so it looks like they're just on the same place. They're really fun Like, I don't even know if you call them villains, just like...
They're like
Mooks?
grunts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were really fun. Through the Money Cat song when they're just playing with like their what's that called? Cat's Cradle.
They're playing Cat's Cradle.
They're playing
together.
Cat's Cradle and they're just like stealing it from each other. And then in the final fight where they're all like they're all stacked on top of each other to hold John Tom against the ceiling, like underneath the train door. It's fun stuff. I really like the Chimney Cats.
Yeah, they're fun. But so there's this big chase. Eventually, John Tom gets there and he crosshair eyes Meow Reese, and they end up sending him and Musette's place to Pittsburgh, and they all live a happily ever after going back to the Parisian countryside.
Maybe they just stayed in Paris.
Yeah, maybe they didn't learn their place, and we'll have to wait till Gay Purr-ee 2.
Which I wanted so badly.
So, what was it like revisiting this movie from your childhood?
Most things stood out, or like not stood out. Most things lined up with what I remember. Like I saw that movie so many times, so it wasn't too much plot points that I was forgetting. Like I'd forgotten about the whole Alaska side quest, but I remembered it when it started happening. I was like, oh yeah, this does happen. Yeah. It's really boring.
Did you remember the edutainment section with all the painters?
Yeah, I remember that. I knew that was coming, and when it happened, I was like, oh no. I definitely remembered that. Yeah, everything lined up. I forgot that I was like, wait, this actually isn't that bad. I was expecting it to be a lot worse than it actually was.
Well, this movie flopped when it was released, and no one else remembers it beside you. So it would make sense for this to be a bad movie. But you get there and it's like, nah, it's fine. You know, there's some impressive stuff here. There's some good performances. The problem,
some fun animation, some good songs.
Yeah, I think the problem with it is, one, it feels twice as long as it is.
Yeah, it's only an hour 20.
And part of this might have been because we were watching it at the end of the day and we were all a little hungry. It was a journey to go through. Once again, mentioning our boy Steven, he related it to like how someone who takes DMT can like live out a lifetime in a couple minutes. Yeah, it kind of felt like that.
I think that also has to do a lot with the disjointed storytelling and how much like Meow Reese is fun to focus on. He's not the driving part of the plot though. The main characters are not on screen that much.
Well, and then you do have, like, as fun as most of it is, you do have the edutainment section, you do have the Alaska section, like, but I think the other thing...
You have the kick line section where it's just a montage of kick lines.
Yeah. I think the other thing, though, is just, like, animation, you know, why would this be what people remember from all the cool stuff that has been released over, like, the past 50 years of animation?
Yeah. No, there's a reason why it doesn't stick out for sure.
Yeah.
I still find it hilarious that I'm like the only person in the world that knows about this movie.
Well, now at least a couple more people do because they listen to this podcast. I just as a formality, I have to ask Joe, is this hot trash?
No.
Okay, I don't think so either. So
it's
were you kind of hoping it would be?
No, I was hoping the parts I remember being fun as a kid would be funnier as an adult, and they are. The sniper crosshairs is hilarious,
and you're able to bring in some jokes that you weren't able to do as a kid.
Yeah, parts that I thought were hilarious as a kid aren't anymore. Like when John Tom's just like stretching in the morning. It was something that I loved as a kid. I was hoping he would do it more times in the movie, and he didn't. So I would always rewind the tape to get back to that part. But it's such a whatever scene, and I like that I'm able to appreciate those backgrounds because that's definitely not something I would ever notice as a kid.
Yeah, if you're a fan of animation and you have a spare hour and a half, go look this up. I can't imagine it's too hard to find.
It's everywhere. You got to pay for it, but it's everywhere.
I'm sure there are ways around that.
Oh, there definitely are.
I don't feel bad about you cheating Warner Brothers out of this movie from 1964.
It did recently get a 4K release.
I mean, yeah, 4K.
Why on earth?
Those backgrounds would look even prettier in 4K. The foreground animation would probably look just as like underwhelming in 4K.
I think it's worth it. Yeah, if you're a fan of like just the history of animation and stuff, seeing all this very proto, just WB iconography, and even like, it's the go-to thing to be like, wait a minute, Aristocrats is a movie. And it's like, this kind of did it like way before it, too. Like,
yeah.
It's all 10 years before it.
Yeah. I don't know if this was just boiling in the background of those Disney animators' heads, or if it's just this is all such generic animal stuff to do that you'd recycle it. But
good time nonetheless. I enjoyed my time with the movie.
Yeah.
It was a nice revisit.
As I enjoyed it mostly as a Judy Garland fan. It's a cool novelty from being able to hear her in her one voice role. And especially since, once again, she did a good job. Mm-hmm. It's not like, oh, this is her one voice role.
And it's awful.
Yeah, I get why this was her one voice role. All right. Well, Joe, thank you for showing this. Thank you for digging this up from your past.
You're welcome.
Tell me about it.
Nice hot trash special.
Exactly. And with that, I think we'll leave things off. So just remember, if y'all are going to Paris,
don't let the devil.
Yeah, watch out for cats that silhouettes resemble the devil.
And Mr. Henry, if you're still around, send us an email.